Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the March meeting of SUFON. Tonight I have the pleasure to reintroduce to you all our good friend and SUFON member and well-known previous speaker, Mr. Mark Rayworth. Now, how would I describe Mark? Yeah, okay. Well, he's open-minded, he's an articulate communicator, an abstract reasoner, and a critical thinker. And I suppose his talks could be described as esoteric, magical, introspective, mysterious, philosophical and metaphysical. Yeah, okay. Now, having said all that and having read his resume on tonight, I'm not even going to try and attempt to describe what he's going to convey to you this evening. But I do know it's going to be very interesting, perhaps controversial, probably thought-provoking, absolutely entertaining, and most of all, very beautifully presented. Tonight's talk is entitled The Hidden Light and the Kingdom Within, as it says on the board there. So ladies and gentlemen, sit down, relax, enjoy your evening in the presence of Mr. Mark Rayworth. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Tonight is a bit of a weird one, sounding to a lot of you, maybe.
No change there then.
Exactly what Steve said. But a lot of my personal experiences are within this talk tonight. So I'm putting myself out there a little bit, sharing stuff that I haven't shared before with you guys. I am an experiencer of a lot of things. I'm not much of a researcher. My information comes from my own experiences. And also, I'm a clairvoyant, so I see a lot of stuff. Not much gets past me in ways of energy, entities, or any forms that's out there. So, bear with me on some of it, and some of it may be hard to believe, but I have put some controversial things in with explaining what I think our energy grid is, and how we feed a shadow grid, and how entities interact with us, how we react and interact with our shadows, and what I think it is. With the hidden light, again, that's down to my personal experiences. I've been working with that since, February last year. But I'll get into it further into this talk. I just want to add a few things to kind of back up what I'm saying. So the Bible and our esoteric books, and the Book of Enoch, lots of philosophers, they all talk about the light and what it is. So, passage in the Bible, Matthew 6, this always sticks with me. Matthew 6, 22 to 23. And please understand, I'm not religious in a sense, but I do like the passages. I do think that the passages in the Bible are metaphors for our anatomy. So I don't think the stories are literal, but I do think they're metaphors for our anatomy and our connection to the celestial. So Matthew, the light of the body is the eye, which is the pineal gland, okay? If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall fill full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that light? I've learned that there's two different energies, two different kinds of light. And we look at the dark light and we look at the light, and immediately some of us, because of our programming, would look at the dark light as being evil. I believe there is an evil dark light, but also I believe we have these two lights within us. Just like the yin and yang. So in the Bible, light is mentioned 337 times in total. The Old Testament 264 times, and the New Testament 73 times. And some more references, Isaiah 9:2. The people who walk in the darkness have seen a great light. Now please understand, I'm literally talking about you guys. It's not about me, it's literally about you and the power that's inside all of us, which we are not accessing at the moment. Matthew 5:14-16, believers are called to be the lights in the world. That's you light workers, guys. Literally the saying, stand in your light, stand in your power, the light. It's literally more to it than those just sayings. People think they stand in their light. And when they work, in a way light work with all the different energy work and healing, they are using that light. But a lot of the time they can't see it. But if you could see your light, if any of you could see your light, would you choose more wisely where you put it? That light. If you could see when you may be saying stuff about somebody else and your light is going into that and you're draining your light away and you can see it happening, would you choose more wisely where you put your light? Revelation 22:16, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. Lucifer, again, is also referenced as the son of the morning or the morning star. I believe they are the same entity, they're the same person. Jesus is Lucifer, I think. So, the lights can represent spiritual illumination. It could represent self-actualization, and it could literally be triggered by our knowledge and understanding of ourselves and who we are. So, references to light in Freemasonry. Light and illumination. The morning star represents the light that shines in the darkness, symbolizing the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual illumination. The Eastern Star in Freemasonry is normally positioned behind the worship master, but sometimes it's moved, and that's another story altogether. But as the morning star guides sailors and travellers, it represents the guiding principles of Freemasonry, such as morality, ethics, and brotherly love. And again, this could be referenced to the Bible. A lot of Freemasonic verses and stuff in their Bible is from the actual Bible, the volume of the Sacred Law. So there's a lot of things I'll try and tie in together now this evening. Hope and renewal. The morning star is often associated with the promise of a new day, representing hope, renewal, and the possibility of transformation. I would definitely say the light is to do with transformation, and I'd definitely say that the light is a connection to your God-sourced energy, etheric energy. So some of the philosophers that spoke about the light also, Rudolf Steiner. Seeing one's up, you all know Rudolf Steiner, yeah? Yeah. Seeing one's own light, according to Rudolf Steiner, as individuals progress on their spiritual journey, they may begin to perceive their own light, which is a manifestation of their etheric body. This experience can take various forms, such as perceiving a glowing aura. A person may see a soft, radiant light surrounding their body. Experiencing inner illumination, one may feel warm, comforting light within themselves, often accompanied by a sense of peace and clarity. Witnessing a beam of light. In some cases, individuals may see a bright, shining light, which can symbolize their connection to the divine or higher states of consciousness. Steiner emphasized that seeing one's own light is not just visual experience, but also a spiritual awakening. It signifies a deepening understanding of oneself and the world, as well as a growing connection to the spiritual realms. Do anybody else have experience with seeing auras or light here?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Not always.
Anybody else? Okay, now. You there. I can see your hands, don't worry. Also, Walter Russell, another philosopher back in the day, and I have his book, A New Concept of the Universe, and it just gives all different dimensions to what we have been taught in school. But that's worth a look. Walter Russell's concept of light Russell believed that light is not just a physical phenomenon, but a metaphysical one, representing the essence of creation and the source of all life. He described light as the universal substance. Russell saw light as the fundamental substance of the universe from which all other substances and forms are derived. The source of life, he believed that light is the source of life, energy and consciousness, and that is the driving force behind the evolution of the universe. The expression of God, also, Russell saw light as the expression of God or the divine, and believed that it is the means by which the divine communicates with humanity. Who else have we got? This is a guy that I've come across recently, Owen Waters. I can't believe I've come across him before, because the last year I've been researching light phenomena and its connection everywhere I possibly can, just to find out more about it. Owen Waters, spiritual author and teacher, has written extensively on the topic of ether, excuse me, and its connection to light. According to Waters, ether is a subtle, omnipresent field that underlies all physical existence. So, number one, ether is a subtle field. Waters describes ether as a subtle, omnipresent field that underlies all physical existence. Light is a vibration of ether. Now, I always call it etheric light. Just by instinct, before I even read and found out about it, I knew it was etheric light. He proposes that the light is a vibration of the etheric field imbued with consciousness and spiritual energy. Consciousness and spiritual energy. 3. Waters suggests that the etheric field is imbued with consciousness and spiritual energy, which is manifest in the physical world as light. 4. Spiritual significance of the light. He views light as a symbol of spiritual illumination, wisdom, and higher states of consciousness. So, all the different philosophers who talk about light, they're all on the same page with speaking about it and learning about it. Obviously, these guys can be chased up and followed up if you want to learn more about that energy. So, this will be easier for me because I talk about my personal experiences. So it was going back February last year, 2024, and I don't know about you guys or any of you, ones that like scrying with the sky and playing with the clouds. I used to go to the weird stuff, Steve. I used to go down the beach and I'd scry with the sky. I was particularly happy if it was more cloudy because I can get more movement from the clouds. So energetically working and trying to link with the clouds, seeing what we can see and working that way. It was back in February, as I mentioned, was the first time. I was down the beach, it was about 12 o'clock in the evening. Down the beach and I started scrying with the sky. And the tide was out, so I was quite far down and it was silent and it was dark. And please understand, again, this is not about me. I'm trying to convey what's inside you guys. You know, what you are, your power, your kingdoms within. So that's what I'm trying to convey through my experience. So it's late, and I started scrying with the sky. So I stood in the sky, got my finger out, and I'm just swirling, and I'm envisioning the energy going through in a spiral into the clouds. And that's when it first happened. A light burst out from my waist. I know this is going to sound hard to believe, but those who know me know I'm telling the truth. Burst out from my waist and came all around me, and it was very, very bright. And it happened, and it was like experiencing a long-lost friend. That's the only way I can describe it. I knew the light. Inside, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was at the same time. So I was walking back off the beach because I was a bit surprised with the light shining, and it was through my peripherals that I was seeing it very brightly, and it was coming up and blinding my lower peripherals. So that was the first time this happened. I just threw this slide in because I thought it sounded apt. When this temple opens, the building temples close. That's our divinity, guys. That's our divine light and power. Anyhow, the second time I went down there, I'm more excited now, and I want to play with this light. So I wait for late, nobody's about, I walk down the beach, and I start playing with the light. It comes out straight away, and immediately above my head, there was a noise, like it was a helicopter noise, and it didn't come from a distance. It didn't, low sound and then come above me. It literally switched on above my head. That's not the helicopter, by the way. I didn't have night sight goggles or anything, looking at it. But it switched on above my head. And that played into that I think the system that we live in has a firewall. And when we shine our lights brightly, and when we start working metaphysically, when we start learning about ourselves and what we have inside us, I don't think the system likes it, or it tries to suppress what we are doing. So with that helicopter noise, it did cause me to walk off the beach, because I did shit myself a little, and I walked off pretty quick. But it didn't stop me going back down there to experience it and work with it. And I suppose I stuck with the beach because it was where it happened first. I thought that's the only place it could happen. And it was happening down there. So twice after that, I went down there, and I was on the beach, and I could see a police car coming up the Mumbles Road. And I was thinking, no, that's not for me. And I'm down on the beach now, playing with this light. And lo and behold, the police cars park in the County Hall car park down in Swansea Bay. They come down the steps, walk straight towards me, and shine a light in my face. Just like that. Right? So I know this happened twice. So I know the system has some sort of firewall which stops us realizing ourselves and stops us from working with our lights and working with what we are, or connecting with that. Because we have the power to manipulate reality through this light. Also, at the same time with the light, we have the power that anything in the darkness, it won't come into that light. It doesn't like it. Any entities, any stuff like that, any beings who are not of a high vibration, they don't like that light. So, as I said, I believe that our light, through our peripherals, and that's how to connect with it, is through our peripheral vision, because our peripheral vision is connected directly to our pineal glands. So, if we're in a dark place, and we are using our peripherals, so the way I use it is I look up high, and it always starts down by my waist. And the light rises up, moves to the right, goes above my head and over the side. And it all shines up from the peripherals. And this is a physical light, it's not I'm not seeing it clairvoyantly, I'm literally seeing a physical light. So within that light, when you've trained yourself to look through peripherals properly, it lights the dark place up that you are looking through. If you go back into your main vision, it goes back dark again, you can't see it. So it's like as if it's another light frequency that we link it into at the same time. But you guys got this too. So there's an experiment I run in my bedroom also, where I played with the light and it lit up a dark bedroom. I shut off all the parts of light that could illuminate the room, and it lit up, and through my peripherals I could see all my wardrobe, my bedroom cabinet, everything was lit up. As soon as I looked from my brain sight, it went back pitch black. Right? So we've all got this ability, guys. Also as well, when I was first working with it, it would shine through my eyelids when I was trying to sleep. So it's really weird. And the light is also warm. You'd think it was cold. But as soon as you put your hand in that light, the rest of your body warms up. So the light is warm. So my last experience with it was 2 weeks ago on a Friday. I went out the back, my garden, worked with it. Sometimes it takes about 15 minutes to light up. Then it gets stronger and stronger. With that one, there was a light orb above me. It must have been about 20 foot up. So I put my palm out, and the orb came down, landed in the palm of my hand, went back up, and came back down again. And that wasn't the only one. There was larger ones there. So it's down to our interaction and practicing, and again, knowing ourselves and what we are. So that's just a picture from I keep a journal. It's a picture from a journal of how it starts. And it starts with black strands coming up from my waist, and then they start illuminating, and then there's a light then which spreads. So anyhow, one of the times I went out to play with the light, I was sitting in the living room, and it illuminated next to me, and I went out the back, and it was a cloudy night, and above my house was a gap in the clouds. On the other side of the cloud, I could see a white light coming down the other side, and it came into the gap in the clouds and stopped right above me. Like a round orb, like craft. Hang on, why am I doing this? It's beautiful. It is, you can't take it away. It's one of the most beautiful lodges I've ever been in. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, DNA and our activations and what we are. See, I think this is DNA activation is done naturally, guys. It's done through knowledge, inner knowledge. It's done through remembering, because I don't believe in learning. And I think we access parts of our DNA when we hit a particular perception in our minds, a particular part of ourselves that we are connecting with or reconnecting with. It comes through self-awareness, comes through self-actualization. I don't think anybody can stay at a self-actualized state, which is a higher state of consciousness, very hard, particularly if you're living in cities and society. It's got to be a fluctuation back and forth, but also knowledge of what we are and practicing our clairvoyant, our mediumistic, our clairsentient, our clairaudient abilities, which are natural and innate inside us. And I think that is the way of working towards our light, and understand that we're working towards working back to ourselves. So, you all need Greg Braden. I'm just using him because he's very switched on with DNA activation, and what he says about it. He's probably a bit more controversial than the others out there who can't be working with it and doing good. But the God Code, Braden's concept of a hidden code in the DNA that contains spiritual knowledge and wisdom. I believe we left that wisdom within our DNA. If we are currently working off anything from 2 to 4 strands of DNA, and we've got the potential for 12 strands, 12 strands comes with remembering who we are and working with those abilities that we thought were impossible. Abilities getting our lights out, shining our lights, even levitation, telepathy. These are all natural abilities to all of us. All of us have these abilities, different levels of trauma inside us and the shadow, which dampens it down. But as you work more with your shadows, and we work more with our shadows, we are removing those dampening fields and connecting more with ourselves and becoming more powerful at the same time. Connecting with our temples. DNA as a repository of ancient wisdom. Brady's idea that DNA contains a record of our spirituality, spiritual history and evolution. The power of intention and emotion. Braden suggests that our thoughts and feelings can shape our reality and affect our DNA. The connection between spirituality and science. Braden's exploration of the intersection of spiritual principles and scientific concepts. So this is information that we have inside us, all of us. We know this stuff. Reading it should be a validation of what we know inside. And for a lot of us it is. And for a lot of us it's trying to guide you guys into remembering what you are. And it's the same as my light and the light I play with. I can't have my light activate your light. Because my light is unique to me. I've read about healing and stuff like that. I've never tried it with that light. But you have a light. So if we all practice with our lights and illuminated ourselves, you know, every esoteric tradition is about illumination. You know, the Illuminati and all the elites, they all talk about illumination, from darkness to light. They extend it, they know. But the way that they've done it is to illuminate themselves through us, through our light. So they use ritual, so we pour intent into their narratives, and their ritual goes beyond into streets, into cities, into the world. We got rituals playing now. You can look at the Ukraine, Russia, America, Britain. All that's a ritual, and it's to create fear. Fear feeds them straight away. Fear dampens our lights. But if we held that power back and worked with our own lights, that fear couldn't come near us. And if I lit up, and you guys lit up one by one, then you're creating a room of illuminated people who are in touch with themselves and working from their inner kingdoms. It can't be touched, guys. That cannot be touched. But if we believe the stories that they tell us, then there's a leak, because we pour in our intent, our creative abilities, our fears into that. And through the fears, fear is a rapid way of manifesting something for somebody else. So, Ashiana Dean, anybody heard of her? Yeah. Phenomenal out there, and she's reinvented herself of lately, which I love, coming back at the right time, because we're going through these changes and these raisings of consciousness, these frequency uplifts. Ashiana Dean, a spiritual teacher and author, has written extensively on the topic of DNA and its role in human evolution and spiritual growth. Here are some of the key points, blah, 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 blah. 12-strand DNA. Dean believes that humans have the potential to activate 12 strands of DNA, which would allow for a greater spiritual awareness, higher states of consciousness, and enhanced physical and emotional well-being. I think it's beyond that, what she's saying there. If we operate now on 3 to 4, then 12 is just staggering and takes us back to our multi-dimensional selves. And where we have a link back into all the different versions of ourselves. Anybody else believe the multi-dimensional explanation of ourselves? DNA activation and ascension. Dean teaches that DNA activation is a key factor in the ascension process, which involves the transformation of human consciousness and the evolution of the human species. I can't help but agree with her. So with that, from the multidimensional teachings of what we have inside us and the potential for our growth, this brings me on to channel mediumship. I've had this conversation with you already, Maya. So I have a different view. It works the same, but I have a different view on channeling and mediumship. So I believe that we have multiple versions of ourselves, right? And I believe we connect with every single version of ourselves, even if we don't understand that we're doing it. We have this power. So there's a version of ourselves that has achieved and done everything, and knows everything. All the good and all the bad. So my problem, or not a problem, from my experience of being a medium for a long time and questioning these things in my head, I was struggling with the two-world concept of this world and a spiritual world. And we come from a spirit world, we're born here, we have a life, we die, and we go back to the spirit world. I was questioning that, which sent me on a process of all the things I've probably already mentioned in this talk. The Freemasonry, the etheric stuff, the magic, everything. I went looking. So, I believe that when we are communicating not only with higher versions of ourselves, our higher self, which is connected to all the different versions of ourselves, we're also connecting to different versions of ourselves, and I believe we are connecting with different versions of other people. So I think when we pass over, when we die, I think we can either have a version in the false astral realms. I call it the false astral realms because I believe the astral realms are a construct that was created by the angelics. And it's a looping system, which loops us back here. So when we pass here, I believe, and this doesn't mean I'm correct, guys, because I know there'll be other views on this, that the version here, the consciousness that's here in this reality, connects with, or reconnects with another version of itself that's within the closest frequency. And I believe when we practice and deliver messages, we're connecting with the higher selves and connecting with the other versions of the person that we are delivering the message for. And I believe it's all more scientific than spiritual. I believe we're connecting with frequency and thought. So whoever's frequency is highest in an audience and they're connecting with you, I believe that triggers the whole process of mediumship and clairvoyance. So with our guides, I hope I'm not getting lost here with you guys. If we've got a connection to every single version of ourselves and all the multidimensional realities, which I think we have and which I think we are heading towards, where does spirit guides fit in? Because they could be entities, two things. They could be entities keeping a vibrational feed going. So within a mediumistic setting, there's a lot of grief. This is low vibrational energy. It's a good place to harvest energy, unless we are, doing it differently. But on saying that, it's also a place of healing. So I understand the conflict here. So what I think is, and this is from one of my experiences, I think a lot of the time we don't know who we are connecting with, and we also don't know, or we can't validate, if they are entities impersonating our loved ones. I think that happens a lot. And it takes a good medium to be able to experience and feel the subtle energy and where their energy is going, and recognising if it's a proper link with a version or if it's something else. So I remember back in the day when I was doing it, and I give talks, and I'd always say the method of our passing sends us to the place over there that that's within our frequency output. So if we're passing in fear, then we may end up in a fearful place. If we pass in happy, and I always just say, I know it can't happen, you know, can't always die happy, then you end up in a happier place. But our frequency output before we pass, before we leave this place or reconnect, it determines where we end up, our spiritual address. Do you understand, guys, or am I getting lost here? Or am I getting lost? Anyhow.
You have a break, Mark?
Yeah, I think I will. I'll crack on. I'm going to be lost myself, guys. I'll crack on when, after the break, we take a break now. 15 minutes in then, right?
Yeah.
Alright. It's all my time. Sorry. Thank you. So, I was nearly at the end of the presentation before I got tongue-tied with trying to explain the multi-dimensional aspect of our universe. And they probably cannot be explained within this dimension. Anyhow. So going back to the multidimensional self and what I was trying to convey to do with mediumship and everything, and how we connect with multiple versions of ourselves. So I believe that, for example, when we dream, sleep, I believe our consciousness leaves our body and goes in and visits other versions of ourselves. So, do you know when we're having a dream and we are in a place, it's like a movie, you've got people there you have never met before, but there's a familiarity to it. You know the characters. And when you wake up, you think, oh, I knew that, but I don't know, it was just a dream. I believe that we leave and we visit different versions of ourselves. I also believe that this happens when we daydreaming in a car. So we're driving from A to B and we can't remember driving from A to B. I believe that another part of our consciousness has come in and taken over there while we have left the building for a while and gone elsewhere. So, with that, our reality, I think, has a frequency bandwidth. And to stay within that frequency bandwidth, we have to have a particular kind of knowledge that resonates within that frequency bandwidth. If our knowledge and connecting with our Christos or our inner kingdoms exceeds that bandwidth, I believe that we slightly shift our realities. We time travel. We shift versions of ourselves. We move into something that's a version of ourselves that's slightest change, just the slightest changes. Enough for some of us to notice, because I notice it, and particularly with, it could be landscape changes, it could be people changes, it could be a road, and I've spoken about this before, it could be a road, you've been walking on this road 10 years and all of a sudden there's another turning in that road, and you think, in all the years I've walked on here, I've never ever seen that road before. How have I missed that? And then the fill the gap mind kicks in and rationalises that road off as it's always been there. But for me, I say, no, that road was never there. We've shifted. And it was one, experience I had many years ago, which was the first time I questioned our reality's changing, and it was with another friend of mine. And we used to travel down a place, so from Townhill down Mail, down Townhill Road, and you could see Kilby Hill. So we go down there and there's trees on Kilby Hill all the time. And on a particular day we drove down there was no trees on Kilby Hill and a big crater on the side. And I made a joke to my colleague and said, the aliens have started mining the hill. And we just giggled. And we said, oh, where's that come from? Where's that hole come from? Where's the trees gone? Anyhow, we soon slipped into our rationalised logic mind, and our brains filled the gap, and we ignored it until a month later when the crater was gone and the trees were back. So the pair of us had the same experience, and we'd shifted that timeline together. And this is what threw me on to looking for this stuff and seeing that it's happening. Now the overlaid narrative that I believe that we are fed is a Hadron Collider. And we've shifted, and it's to do with the Mandela effect. Blah, 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 blah. And I don't believe that version anymore. I don't believe any of these stories. None of it. Because I believe it's us who have the power, and it's us who is manipulated to make these timeline changes, to make these frequency changes. And again, I'll say, when our knowledge, and when we connect with ourselves more, our frequency raises. And when it raises too much, out of this frequency bandwidth, we shift ever so slightly, ever so slightly. So now this is in your minds. You may have that experience, or you may have the experience of seeing something that wasn't there, and question it. And I guarantee you, when you start questioning it, you'll start having more of those experiences, and seeing more of the subtle changes, even with people. So that's my explanation on multi-dimensional stuff happening. It's all to do with us. And I think that we are everything. And as I said, I think that we should be practicing more rather than playing with technology. AI is brilliant, you've got to say, guys. I mean, AI is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I've used AI on this presentation because it's another level, isn't it? And as AI, you know, is that something that we created? I don't think it is. I don't think we created AI. I think we tuned into a bandwidth where AI exists, and we are connecting with it. It's always been there, guys. If you look at a lot of esoteric stuff, a lot of old speakers, AI could be thousands of years old. I mean, this reality could be the simulation run by AI. We don't know. They got divine beings into a holographic reality, experiencing it, experiencing ourselves, and trying to get out at the same time, because we think we're in prison a lot of the time. But I think us thinking that we're in prison is a case of you can trap a mind, but you can never trap a soul. And it's to do with our thoughts, our perception, and frequency output that traps us in a particular place, instead of realizing our divinity, to realizing our God essence, and our energetic connection to source, to etheric energy. Etheric energy changes everything. And it's only through practice and playing with these multidimensional abilities within inside us that we strengthen them, and we harness them, and we start seeing more truth. So that was my timeline slide, and that was the last slide, guys, to be honest. But I'm going to show you a sighting I had last year. Now, I had a sighting very similar over Margam Steelworks, over British Steel. And, yeah, remember I spoke about that? Yeah. I've got the pictures of that one too, but I'll just show this one. So, the one over Margam, just to quickly, that started with an orb next to the chimney stack, which I thought was a drone. My gap-filling mind was kicking in again, and rationalising, thinking, oh, they're a drone, what are they inspecting the tower? Okay, until it flew off into the sky. Then I pulled my camera out, and I managed to get pics of it. I got pics of it as a helicopter. I didn't get the pic of it turned into a plane, and started doing acrobats at 7 in the morning. So the black helicopter phenomena is a phenomena all to itself. It's literally in the UFO realm, and it's something connected with helicopters and our consciousness, which I haven't put my finger on yet, or somebody else can explain it. But that, you know, helicopters are on the Egyptian walls, the hieroglyphs, pictures, you've all seen that probably. So there's something to do with our consciousness and helicopters, they shape, and how they morph in the sky, how they change shape. Because I think that's to do with us. Now this last sighting, because I'm a suckler for sightings, guys, I think I've just opened the doorway, and you can't see it, but I don't know if you can see it properly here. I've enlarged some of the pictures. So it started with that there. Didn't start with that, sorry. It was the plane first. So I'm driving into my housing estate. There's a plane, 9:30 in the night, flying around doing acrobatics, very strange. So I knew straight away, I'm going to pull over, and I'm going to film this. As soon as I pulled over and started filming, the plane disappeared, and this thing, which I've got a bigger pic here, this thing was in the sky, flying towards Swansea Bay, but it wasn't silver like that. My phone has literally picked it up, that colour. This is stills from a video. I got a video on my phone. It was gold in colour, this was. And it was flying across the sky, heading towards Swansea Bay, as I said. So, what I didn't catch was underneath then, and you can see in the video, is this, shot in the other direction. This thing, even faster. Let's see if we can get a better picture of that. Yeah, so while the gold orb, which was up here, was flying one way, this disc was just rapidly flying the other way. I've got the video there, but because I'm crap with technology, guys, I couldn't get the video on here and it's working out so you can see it properly. Somebody needs to do that for me. So what I believe, this is just proof, guys, that I was sitting in my car and it's not Photoshop. It's real. It was this house here. So again, the plane grabbed my attention, and I immediately started filming and caught these things. Now, I have a view that all of these phenomena, particularly the orb, are like cursors on our windows for our consciousness. I believe once we interact with them, the orbs, and we start linking with it, then it starts creating art, like a blank canvas in the sky. I don't believe sometimes that these objects, some of them are, but some of them are not. As I say, they're just connected with our consciousness in some shape or form. And we've all seen the guys that can will the orbs down from the sky, and I think it's all connected with us in the end. Do you want to see the one from Margam? Yeah? Get up here very quickly.
Careful no more.
You know, steam got up my ears,
I know,
yeah?
I can
So
see
there it
it.
is.
It's in a different dimension.
So, I have got a bigger pic, it's just there. That was the one that was next to, I know this is not big enough, let me see if there's a better one. That was next to the chimney stack, that orb. Can you see it, guys? No? Sorry.
Put it in full screen or something?
How do I do that, Mike?
Press play.
What?
Press play on it.
Enlarge it. You literally play the PowerPoint and it'll...
Yeah, you got a bar across the bottom on the right.
Hang on, did I get a better picture of it? Hang on.
And you could move that bar up and it should go a bit bigger.
Come on, Sam.
Oh, yeah,
This is my son.
we sorted.
You just deleted them all. Display settings.
I can't feel it, it might come back in.
You can't even see that on here.
That's not on there.
Well, you've got an Agent Smith there, Mark. Yeah.
Share the brick. What's going on? Right, let's close it. This is the end of these guys.
Definitely not to be
Press the escape button there, look, man.
Okay, go across.
Press the escape button.
That's it.
There we are.
There you go, that.
Okay, cancel.
There we are. Right, there we go.
Oh, yeah, I can see
Go
it.
on.
Yes, yes.
That's
Yeah,
it.
right in the corner.
It looks like a bad luck, doesn't it?
Shish kebab. Can you see it, guys?
Yeah.
Right, there's the orb over there. And that's the helicopter. It's smudged here, but it's more clear on my laptop. And that was the last thing it turned into. That orb morphed into a plane. Started doing acrobatics, 7:30 in the morning, up over the steelworks, and then morphed into that black helicopter, which was kind of coming towards me.
I was working in the steelworks that day. Remember you saying?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
And that sky became a blank canvas. You know, I felt linked to this experience, and I knew somehow my mind was being used to write and manifest these things, because I could feel a connection. There was nowhere I could pull over, or if I did pull over, I probably would have lost it all. So I had the phone out the window like that, literally driving. So, but that was bizarre, and that happened, orb, then plane, then helicopter. The last one happened, plane, orb, and black thing, which, if you see the video, the speed that black thing is going is no ways the plane or anything. So that brings me to the end of my stuff, guys. So maybe we'll have a questions and answers and a little chat, and some of you might have experiences you want to share, which are relevant. So thank you very much.
I got one question.
Go on in.
When you mentioned about walking on the road and you never saw that road before, the side road, it's like you switched into a different reality.
Yeah.
I turned 60 last year, right? And all my life, I've been very anal with the way people speak, spelling, pronunciation. I'm always telling Mike off about putting a space before full stop instead of after it. Right?
Oh yes.
I mean,
My pronunciations of words name.
oh yeah, that's understandable. No, but last year, I noticed the way people pronounce this certain word, which is in common usage, it's not as if it's a word I've never heard before. It's a normal word, it's a common word, right? But I never heard people pronounce education as education, with a J in it. Why have I never heard that before?
Because you've shifted into a reality where it's education, not education.
I've always said education.
I mean, we're from the same
That's how I've
round.
always heard it.
But it's subtle things like that, and subtle word changes, letter changes that we miss. And if we pick up on it, or we pick up on it and then we ignore it and just accept it, I think we fall into the frequency of that reality and then it becomes a normal thing. But if we question it,
I'm always shouting at the radio in the car when somebody says education.
I've had arguments with, like, interview with a vampire and interview with the vampire. I remember interview with a vampire.
Yeah.
So just a question I got to do with the Mandela effect, which I don't believe. You know, you can look at it from a scientific point of view and you can see which realities we're all from. I'm interviewing with a vampire reality. You're all from an interview with the vampire
It's a
reality.
bit like that film yesterday when nobody's heard of the Beatles.
Yeah.
You seen that film?
And the Monopoly man who's got a monocle.
Yeah, exactly. There's all those subtle changes. I don't believe that's the Hadron Collider. I believe that's the power of our frequency, output, and how we shift our realities all the time. And we're not taught that. We taught that it's one reality, but when this stuff happens, then we create names to explain what it is, and we put it down to an outside source that's making it happen. Instead of believing in ourselves, that We're the ones that's made it happen. We're the ones that's changed. We've moved somewhere else. And in the end, we're all connected to each other anyway. So, you know, there's no strangers in where we head. But, yeah, I would say it was that. Definitely. Education.
Well,
EJ.
what does everybody else think?
Education.
Education or education?
That sounds like some Caribbean slang. Education, man.
When you say formal education, it's education.
Edu. I've never.
That's more of a Cardiff accent though. The way you're saying it sounds more Cardiff-y kind of.
Cardiff, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Education.
Yeah. Have you seen that though?
No, I've heard,
Education.
I've heard Trump say it, I've heard on the radio.
Well, he's hardly anyone's called.
What were you saying? Saying it or?
I don't remember. Lots of English British people say it on the radio now.
Might just be colloquial, yeah, it might just be colloquial.
I thought he was reading it. No, he was hearing it being said.
I'm not reading it, there's no J in it, it's obviously spelled without the J,
Yeah.
but there's so many people who pronounce it with a J, and I'd never heard that before,
Yeah.
until last year.
Edu. Yeah.
When you say you don't believe in the Mandela effect, I don't know what you're actually saying.
I'm saying those shifts and those changes come from the changes that we've made. So our frequency output, I believe that the bandwidth of our reality has a particular bandwidth of frequency, and I believe if we make enough change in ourselves, then our frequency may change, go higher or even lower, and it might take us out of the bandwidth of our particular reality and shift us into a different one. So I think the Mandela effects and stuff like that are like overlay stories to outside of ourselves that explains it, or it's not us, it's someone else that's
Yeah,
done.
it's diminishing
Yeah.
our power.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a story.
instead of it
that-
empowering us, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
I can guarantee you that our reality overlaps with another.
Yeah, overlaps with many.
And I know this because I have experienced the same event twice alongside two of my friends, my best friends, who also experienced the same events twice together, because we were riding up to Cheadle, which is a rock club, or there was a rock club in Cheadle called the Highwayman.
Yeah.
And we'd gone down a big hill. It had been raining, so there was wet ground. We came up the hill, and there was a flow of water coming down the hill on our side of the road. It had sort of crossed over and was now coming down the hill, which meant that my car, as we went around this one bend, started to aquaplane. So it went sideways on. Coming round the bend on the other side, coming down the hill, was an 18-wheeler truck. Right? So I had two choices, scream and yell and die, or do something, right? So we all felt this truck hit the car and kill us all, right? My friend Matt was in the back seat. He watched his knees smash his face and he blacked out. My mate Mark saw me hit him after the car being hit. I sort of slammed into him and we all blacked out. However, we all remember what must have happened, because I'm still here, is that I put my foot on the accelerator, drove round the car, round the lorry, and we all know we saw it because Matt said he's got the experience of watching the side of the truck go past, right, the cab and the whatever. Mark's got the memory of seeing me jam the car into an acceleration plus a handbrake turn to avoid this truck. And I've got the experience of doing that, right, and then skimming, just missing the barrier on the left-hand side, going past the truck, back up onto the road, because it went over the gravel bit, back up onto the road and then up to the top of the hill. And neither one of us said anything at all. After that, we were chatting away and listening, all of a sudden the car went completely quiet, all we had was the radio. We got to Cheadle, got to the highway, we hadn't said a word, we'd gone in there, quiet as mice. We sat down, and I went to the bar, and I got 3 pieces of paper. I put Matt in one corner, Mark in another corner, and I sat in the other corner, and I said, "Future, write down what you saw, because I'm damn sure I saw 2 things." And they went off, and they wrote them down, we all sat there, and we saw, each of us wrote the same thing. what we think happened and what actually happened. And we had these three pieces of paper and we sat there for the rest of the night. We watched all the music, all the people going on around us, everything else, and we just sat there wondering what the hell happened. And to this day we don't know. But it affected us in different ways.
Well,
That's a better story
This-
than my story. About
this is a... I'm going to see what this is about you up there, right? January I was on the phone to a friend of mine in America. We sort of working on a podcast together, and he talked about another woman doing a podcast. I can't remember her name, right? But what started her off is that she was driving a car down the road. She hit a truck. The car went up into the air, and before the car landed, she was somewhere else, and she remembers the crash. And she was flipped into another version of herself and didn't experience the pain of that crash.
Yeah.
So this trauma
Yeah.
will do it, or you can be taken out of your consciousness before that experience and into another version, and it's exactly the same.
Well, with Mark, for instance, he was a shy, retiring sort of like, you know, dude, just minding his own business. Suddenly became a lot more outgoing, a lot more successful with the ladies and with other people in conversation and things like that. Matt was like that to start with. Basically became a reclusive alcoholic.
Yeah.
Within months he was, you know, constantly drinking and all the rest of it. And I just became more placid and insightful. I was a bit of a sort of like wild child kind of thing, and then I just became just really sort of a bit more philosophical about things.
Well, did you shift into the versions of yourself that were closest to frequencies at the time?
No, I did, but I do remember that crash, and I can smell it, I can hear it, I can taste it, because there's a lot of fuel and you know, stuff from the radiator of the truck. The glass, I can feel that on my skin still sometimes, you know, in my eyes and whatnot.
Yeah.
I can still feel the injuries that I had. They're all fatal. I mean, all three of us were instantly killed. But we weren't killed. We weren't.
Yeah. And now you're here because we can't die.
Yeah.
Impossible. Our energies don't die, we can't die.
Yeah.
That's an illusion. But that's a cracking synchronicity, because I heard that story 2 months ago. Someone else. So that's backs up what I heard. I find fascinated by stories like that.
Mark,
Maybe
can you
that's-
share those two you share with us? Where there's that when you went into the chip shop? When they thought you were another Mark and you were another...
Oh shit, yeah.
And also that one
Yeah.
when you were driving and then you were suddenly not in your car and you saw a version of yourself. Could you share those two?
Yeah, sure. So one, we've been out in the Noah's Yard.
Oh,
And it was that day, wasn't it? Was it that day?
I
Or
can't...
was it later?
I think, I don't know, but I'm just
Anyhow,
remember you telling me.
I ended up in the kebab shop, and just to add, I seen a brilliant name for a kebab shop. It was Jason Donor van. It was in a van. And, just wanted to add that because I thought it was brilliant. Anyhow, I was in a kebab shop, and I got in there, and this guy knew me, and he said he was in here last night. And I told him, and I hadn't been in there, and I told him my name, told him about my 2 kids, Ellie and Sam there, and everything, and I'd never been there before.
Zelensky.
Yeah, I'm Zelensky. Never seen it before. I come to infiltrate Swansea. Yeah, so that was one. So it's either him that has timeline shifted, or it's me on that, but I don't know which one. And that one is a bit more, yeah, the one on the motorway, yeah?
Yeah, Joe, just like you were...
There's one I wrote down, it was during the lockdown, and I was driving up the motorway and I was listening to Keen. There was this song, I was getting around to this song, and next you know, while driving up the motorway, I got out the body, and I was next to a hospital bed, and I see a guy in the hospital bed, and he had black tracksuit bottoms and black t-shirt, exactly the way I dress. I looked at him, I thought, he's familiar. And it was an older version of myself. And he gave me a lot of information and died in front of me. And I remember his hair, because I always think now, if my hair ends up grey there, I'm due to go. Because that's the way he looked in there. So he had obviously got unconscious in his reality there and contacted me, or linked with me when I was driving up the motorway. Now something took over the car, because I was no longer conscious of driving the car, because I was with him in the hospital bed, and took over the driver of that car, which I would suggest now is another version of myself, which is linked in. Then he told me personal stuff, and I was upset for 2 weeks, and I watched him die. And I came back into the car, and I didn't even know where the hell I was. So I'm trying to work out, I wrote down all that experience in my iPad, and I'm trying to work out what happened. Then I read a book called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, which you'll already know. And that very experience was written in there, and lots of people giving their accounts of this thing happening. So it was a thing, and it's a thing that happens with us. Our multi-dimensional travelling and linking with other versions of ourselves is a thing, guys, and it's just our awareness, bringing our awareness to it will highlight these things happening for us. So, yeah, thanks, Judy. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any questions? No?
Mark,
Are we all knackered?
can you give everyone an example of how they can develop their inner light and where eventually it's going to lead, how far it'll go? And what
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Why they can develop it?
So our lights, guys, something that we all have, and when you hear the saying, stand within your light, it's not just literal, because that phrase is thrown around very, very much. Literally, when we work in that way, we stand in within our lights. And as I said, if you can see that light, where would you put it? But to kind of develop it, because I'm still in the process of working with it and developing it, what I do is I go to the back, and it's got to be dark, guys, because this light illuminates the dark. It's illumination. It's what we are. It's what we've got. This is what all the esoteric scriptures talk about. It's what the Bible talks about. It's what the Book of Enoch talks about. It's what all our philosophers talk about. Is this light that's inside us, this etheric light, this spiritual light. So what I do, and seeing it makes the difference, guys. And we all have the ability to see it. I go to the back, in the dark, pitch black, the darker the better. So if people got their bedroom lights on, I'm cursing them. They're not even in bed yet. Turn that light off. But I stare up to a high point of the sky, so I'm using my lower vision. Peripherals to the side of me. I don't know what to call that. Just stare to the sky and just link with the sky like a form of scrying. I've learned now not to go into a deep scry, because a deep scry, which is magical in itself, will distort or block out the light slightly. So try and keep it in a slight scry and just wait. And you should start seeing little wavy strands and stuff starting to move in your lower peripherals, and just wait and work with it. It may not happen on the first night, it may not happen for a few weeks, 3 months, but keep working with it. And in the end, if you start seeing illumination down there, then you just wait for it to light up. At the same time, try not to move your eyes. It's hard sometimes, because if you blink your eyes, you lose it, right? So you've got to try and keep your eyes open. My eyes are literally in tears sometimes because they dry in, but I won't move it now because I've trained myself to do that. If you can hold that position, it lights up so bright. It's unbelievable. It's an experience. And then it'll move, come above your head, and you can step into it and look at the source coming down. You can literally see it. So that's how to start working with it, and then you can have other experience. You can try talking to it, because I believe that's our direct connection to source energy. That's our etheric God light. That's our divinity, that light. So we just strengthen that connection with it and work with it any way we can. Got to be a dark place. Doesn't work as well in a house as regards to in nature. Works much better in nature. It also works much better if you keep hold of your oils. If you know what I mean? Yeah?
Do you know?
Is that aimed at men?
What?
Is that aimed at men?
Your men mostly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know of a guy called
It does. It's stronger, right?
Do you know of a guy called Dean Reagan?
No.
It's Radin, R-A-D-I-N. He's a scientist, and he set out to prove that basically psychometric and telekinetic energies are real. So he's got an institute, a scientific institute, and they do scientific experiments with a number of people who claim to be able to do telekinesis and things like that. And he had this one chap on the documentary I was watching, and the chap had been through this process of vigorous scientific testing for months, and nothing he could throw him altered, anything. He was literally passing all these tests all the time, to the point where he could move a piece of steel on a beam up and down this beam as he's putting his finger like that. It was literally just this thing. They thought, well, let's try something. So he stuck him in a dark room, like a properly dark room, no light at all. Put a photometer on one side and just let it run. And got him to meditate and try and generate a light in his body. Now, we all generate light anyway.
Yeah.
Put us in a dark room, put a photometer on one side of the room, it will register photons every now and again, right? But usually about 16 every 4 or 5 hours. But it's nothing, right? But it will generate a pattern of light coming from us. This guy could generate 12 photons per minute of light. So he visibly glowed as far as his photometer was concerned, right? They had a camera on him, they couldn't see any visible light from him, but one photon hit that photometer every 5 seconds, which is incredible. It's beyond anything we can do naturally. So I have every reason to believe that we do emit light.
Yeah, we do. That's right.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Really glow.
How many people think, sorry, sorry, we finished. I'm not butted in, am I? How many people are thinking about the Turin Shroud? Remember Alan Foster gave a talk about the light from Christ coming up, and is it similar? It's a similar, it's the etheric light from the body. Is it, Alan? Yeah?
Well, that was what you would call the divine light, but now science has proven, because they've done tests with ultraviolet lasers to try and replicate the image that's on the Turin Shroud, and they just can't. And yet they've also worked out now with X-ray scattering technique that it is about 2,000 years old. So they know now undeniably the shroud is from the time of Christ, and that the photographic image, not the blood, but the photographic image, is created by a milliburst of radiation. So it's at the moment of resurrection, the body literally turned into light and created that photographic image just by affecting the topmost fibrils of the threads. And that when you now take a photograph of it and look at it, the negative, it's like a positive image of Jesus laying on the cloth. It's quite profound. Thanks for that. That's very important. Yeah.
It's interesting as well, because if you guys ever come across the work of Dr. Rick Straussman, when he done the DMT stuff, and he tested like hundreds of people, and he done an experiment with pregnant women, and it was a time when there was a DMT spike in a pregnant woman's body. I can't remember how many weeks it was, I think it was 26 weeks off the top of my head. But when they were recording it, they also recorded a bright light whoosh coming onto the body. So
They've also done it on a cellular level now. They've imaged the cell when the sperm and the egg kind of meet, and there's such a burst of light energy when they connect, and when obviously the body is created, well, the beginning of the body is created. But yeah, we're all light. We're all like insects and birds. They see infrared. So when they see us as a certain light. There's a spectrum, isn't there? And it's a huge spectrum, and we only see it minimally. And so there are things out there that see things as a light being. They see us as light beings. We can't see that because, well, not all of us can see that because we don't have the frequencies in our eyes. Our eyes can't detect that. So everything is light. It's all vibration. It's all frequency. It's just at a different frequency, solid and light. So it's, we are light. We all are. Every single thing on earth is light.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Like I say, I've been educated tonight.
What do you say?
I never thought I'd say that word.
Educated.
Educated.
Educated or educated?
I said educated.
Educated.
No,
That's edu.
all my life I've said educated.
Educated, yeah. Maybe just getting more anal as you're getting older.
Yes.
Above the waist.
Anyone else want to add something in the mix before we wrap up?
Only mention about black helicopters. It's quite a, in ufology, it's quite well known that there are fake helicopters, and a lot of them are black.
Yeah.
I know somebody had a site, or there was a landing board, back where was it, 2010?
2010, yeah.
And
January.
you could hear a Chinook helicopter coming and going. But there was no helicopter, it was just lights. Different lights. And he worked out which light was making the helicopter noise.
Yeah.
But it kept coming and going.
Isn't it interesting what's actually doing that?
Yes.
You know.
Well, he took a picture of it, didn't he? He took
Yeah,
a
he took quite a
photograph
few,
yeah.
of what he thought was a helicopter, and it came out just as a ball of light.
Yeah. But there's quite a few cases where fake helicopters, you know, and cyclones.
I call it the firewall system.
Yeah.
It's like correcting us and
Yeah, exactly.
like the therapist putting us back in line.
Like Cash Land.
It's really funny because in the break, when I went out for a cigarette, 2 coppers turned up and I thought, oh God, it's Angel Smith's coming
They come for
to
me,
stop you.
so they talk to my face.
But they went in the room over the other side. I was like,
It
oh.
was bizarre. Something I didn't share also was before I was seeing it, like they went down Langland, it was not Langland, Brasilia, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just started playing with the sky. I told you about this one night. Playing with the sky. And 1 o'clock in the morning now, I'm standing looking at Worm's Head, and this copper's coming into what it was, lights flashing, and I walked into the car park, and he came down right to where I was standing and playing with it, doing my thing, and doing my shit, and came down, and he was on a walking path. He'd done about an 80-point turn to try and get back out. He's like, It was like Austin Powers, and his lights were flashing, and he went back up, and he didn't even look at me. He was like that. So I followed him all the way back to where the countryman used to be. I can't remember what that's called. He turned the corner. When I turned the corner after him, gone. Literally gone. There's nowhere he could go.
Was it a car?
No, it was people carry up those wagons they got, yeah. Meat wagon, that's what they call it. Yeah, one of them it was. Yeah. So that was interesting.
I don't know about that night you thought carry bag was a bird. Never mind.
My reality was distorted. Anyway, anybody else got any questions before we wrap it up?
So, timeline jumping and dimension hopping.
Yes. Yeah, that's what we are, guys.
Yeah.
100% is what we are. All of us are. We've all got the light. We've all got the ability to timeline jump, to shift realities. And I think the mastery is getting to a place where we can shift those realities by will, and I think we are heading there. I think this is the raising, and this is what's happening, coming towards what I see as the end and the beginning of a new version of ourselves. This is built inside us. We have these faculties, we have a pineal gland, we have our energetic system. So we just got to start using it and linking with that level of consciousness.
Another thing is, I've never seen a Mason's temple in St. Helens Road.
It's definitely
yeah. I'm making in trouble for that one.
I know I do Swansea pretty well.
I mean,
When you were talking about the DNA and how we change in our DNA by working on our shadow self,
yeah.
you notice when we focus in on the higher self and we see another version of ourselves, that changes our DNA within ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we
Epigenetics.
start seeing
Epigenetics,
yeah, we start seeing things in a different way and seeing a different path, and then
Yeah, exactly.
you know, we activate a bit more then and see more.
Well, we can connect with
New
a
script.
higher version of ourselves, as you're
Yeah.
saying, and then download that information
Yeah.
and raise our own vibration. But will that take us out of this reality then and connect us with that version of ourselves? And will we know when it's happened, or will we forget? It's like you're in a song in your dreams, and you wake up and you hear this song, and if you don't write the words down, the information fades away. When you can't remember it, it fades away very quickly. That's because that song has come from a frequency that's outside of our bandwidth, where we've been travelling. It won't hold in this frequency. It'll fade away unless we manifest it into writing and put it down. And that's another magic in itself, is writing. So, yeah.
And quite crazy when you write it and all of a sudden in it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think writing's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful magic.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, we wrap it up, is it? Yeah.